Hello, hello everyone. This is Indra Bartona in the Positivity Vibe Tribe space, and today's topic, how to master your fears 2, with our guest George Silverman. Welcome, George. Welcome, Michael. Okay, let's get you situated here. We're going to have a great chat today. How are you, George?
Hey, hi, Andrew. How you doing? Yeah, well, wonderful.
Great, good.
Can you?
Okay.
Does my mic sound okay?
I don't know. You're coming in a little bit hot.
A little hot. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm hot tonight. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And how about? Can you hear Marla? Talk, Marla.
Hi, Indra.
Oh yeah,
This
Marla's
is
good.
Marla.
Hi, Marla. You sound great.
Thank you.
Perfect.
There's Ron.
Okay, and we have our co-host, one of them. Let's get Ron situated. Okay.
George, it's a little loud.
Hello, Indra. Hello, George.
Hey, Ron. Can you hear me, Ron?
Oh, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes. All good.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, I'm just going to post the first post in the chat.
Oh yeah, I got to go get some stuff and put them.
Yeah, get situated.
In the nest and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
Give me a chance to do that.
Sure.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
And don't hesitate to interrupt. You can just say a little louder, a little softer.
Okay,
whatever.
good.
Don't make a whole big deal of it. Just put, Okay.
All good.
I'm gonna go to the bookmarks and put them in there.
Okay, thank you. Perfect.
I'm excited, George.
So am I, Ron.
Hi, Ron. This is Marla.
Hello, Marla.
I'm George's wife. That's
hi.
My claim to fame.
It's a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you.
I actually met you on our Zoom call, Marla. I don't know if you remember. Oh, yeah.
I do.
Okay, good.
I do. You were in the lower right-hand corner.
Oh, I was. Gosh, she's even got me situated.
There you go.
Okay, you don't miss anything, Marla. All right. Okay, so we are just getting set up here. And hey, welcome to CVV Entertainment. Great to see you. Michael's in the house. And I've just posted the first comment in the chat. So let's hope that comes up on my page. And we're a little bit early, so we're just kind of getting set up. Oh, wow, Ron's got the nest all loaded. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Very nice. Super speed. Love it, Ron.
I'm just trying to find the Otter transcript.
Okay.
Indra, I don't mean to alarm you, but the chat is gone.
No, the chat is still there. I just made a comment.
Oh. Where do I go?
It's down the right. You can't see it?
No, I don't have access to it. That's weird.
Oh, wow.
It's okay.
Okay. Oh, no. You know how you will have access to it? If you go to my profile, and I already typed up the welcome tweet, so you'll be able to access it through my profile page underneath. Yeah, okay. You'll see the welcome tweet. Yeah, there's always a will, there's a way. So try that just to get settled. Okay, welcome everybody. Block Muse is here. Habilosh is here. And of course, Lance and Karen are here. Yay! Everybody's getting settled in here. Ron is figuring out another way to get into the chat.
And I'm figuring out another way to get the Otter transcript on, which I tweeted out and I can't find.
Oh.
I don't know if anybody can find it, but
okay.
I can't find it. So I'm going to tweet it out again and go get it.
Thank you. Okay, our other co-host, Rev, is in the house. Let's get you situated, Rev. Okay, although I know you've got a bit of a situation with your voice, so understand you'll probably be just listening today. Hope you're feeling better, my friend. Okay. Welcome to Coke. Kamal is here. All right. They're starting to get a few bodies in the house. 5:01. All good. Welcome to Dizzy. Welcome to Slamit. Kamal is here. Jordan is here. Hey guys, great to see you all. Stephanie is here too. Welcome, welcome. Great to see you all. Dizzy. Always good to see all you guys, your regular faces. And we are very excited about this topic today. In the Positivity Vibe Tribe, How to Master Your Fears, Part 2 with George Silverman, who's come back for Part 2 and brought a very special guest, his wife, Dr. Marla Silverman. Lucky us. We are so spoiled. We're very spoiled today. So, okay, we have our other PVT member has arrived. Stephen is in the house. Welcome. Good to see you there. Welcome to Samantha. Shafi, welcome everybody. How wonderful to see you all. Hey, and now would be a wonderful time to tweet out the space. And the easiest way to tweet out the space is to hit the chat button down the bottom, the bubble, and then simply hit the retweet out, and it will retweet the space card.
I don't have the chat bubble this time. I don't know why.
Actually, that's what Ron said. Ron doesn't have it either. And
no.
And okay, so George, if you want to get into the chat,
I'll just go to your profile.
Yeah.
Grab the blank card and do it. Follow.
Yeah, because
I'm going to try to follow the chat and a back channel DM.
Thank you. Yeah.
With you, but it's.
Okay.
I hope,
well, you know what we can do also is, George, if there's something as a question, I will keep my eye on it as well, and so I can read out the question, or if somebody has a comment. So we'll kind of do that. We'll do a little bit more coverage on that. So not to worry, we'll figure it out one way or another.
Of course. Appreciate your flexibility.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hey, welcome. Gia is in the house. Wonderful to see you. Welcome to JD. All these people. Yeah, I love it. I see the retweets heading out at the moment. And what we are doing as a thank you is Ron is going to choose somebody towards the end of the show, and we're going to highlight and read out your profile. And it's just a small way of us thanking you for being part of the Positivity Vibe Tribe, and of course sharing out the space. So love that so much. So let's check out all the goodies up in the nest before we make an official start. Okay, first thing up in the nest, we have George has posted in there his first post, which is a link, and he's got, if you fight all fear, you will lose, transform it instead. And so it's a document published there. You can have a look at that. That he's just put up in the nest, and there's other goodies he's also put up there for the nest. A second document up there. So do check out those documents, and also make sure that you also check out George's profile and follow him as well. So if you're not sure about how to do that, the easiest way is click on his bubble and it'll take you to his profile. Okay, and then up in the nest, I want to just point out that we have the YouTube show that I created, Master Your Fears. That's under 10 minutes, and that's my take on Master Your Fears. Of course, everybody has their own take, and we've had many guests, and so we are very spoiled with having all these tools and tips and tricks that come into the Positivity Vibe Tribe. So make the most of this evening as well. And then thank you so much to our sponsors, Wordsmith Pakistan, for sponsoring this show, for the wonderful content creation that you provide. If anybody needs help with that, all their information is up in the nest. And then, of course, join the Positivity Vibe Tribe community if you haven't joined already. I believe we are at 6,700 members and growing
Whoa!
strong.
Yay!
It's a vibrant community, and really, it's such a blessing to go there. Every time I drop in, you guys are running this community. You're posting beautiful quotes. You uplift each other. So thank you so much. It warms my heart every time I'm there. And then our latest edition is Positivity Vibe Tribe NFT collection. Stephen, over to you.
So I really have almost no voice. I am so sorry. I don't think I'm going to be able to announce
Okay,
it.
I'll do it. Thank you so much for being.
Thank
I
you
can
so
hear.
much.
Okay, his voice is getting worse. It's a two of the tribe are down with the throat.
Wow, it's contagious.
I know.
Did it go from Rev to Stephen or Stephen to Rev?
I don't know. It's simultaneous. So, so I'm going to talk about
I'm going to keep drinking my lemon water.
Yes, please do that. So the Positivity Vibe Tribe NFT collection is live on the Galaxy platform, and we're proud to announce our very own PVT member is the artist, Stephen Caggiano. So check those out and do enjoy the beautiful artwork on the Galaxy platform. So this is our very first collection release. Super excited for all of this and for many more collections to come in the planning. Stephen is already onto his second, third, and fourth ideas of collections. So thank you so much, Stephen, and hope you're feeling better very soon. Okay, so I think we're all loaded up in the nest. Let's get ready
to go.
Yep, let's do an official opening of the show. And again, warm welcome to everybody else. There's a couple more bodies that have just joined the space. Today is a Positivity Vibe Tribe talking on part 2 of How to Master Your Fears with George Silverman and his special guest, his wife, Dr. Marla Silverman. So wonderful. We are so spoiled. All right.
Well, thank you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Positivity Vibe Tribe space. I'm Indra Bartona, a producer in the film and television industry and TV host, plus the founder of the Positivity Vibe Tribe. Originally, I'm from the Gold Coast, Australia, lived in London for several years, and now based in Los Angeles. A little bit of background on Positivity Vibe Tribe. I started my YouTube channel in June last year with a positive vibe lifestyle theme, and Positivity Vibe Tribe became my personal brand. Positivity Vibe Tribe Twitter Spaces is a natural evolution to bridge the gap between all social media platforms and, most importantly, bring full engagement in conversations from all of you. So today I am joined by my co-host, social audio guru Rev McLive. So sorry you have a sore throat today. Hope you're feeling better. And also Ron Perry, who is a talented musician and podcaster. He's also the head honcho moderator of the moderating team over at the Positivity Vibe Tribe. Go Ron. So our special guest this evening to talk about, who's actually come back for part 2 of Master Your Fears, is George Silverman. And he is a reformed and recovering psychologist specializing in group dynamics and educational psychology, invented the telephone focus group and conducted over 10,000 of them, marketing and marketing research consultant, author of Secrets of Word of Mouth Marketing, international speaker, and now writing the Mind Skills Playbook in public and conducting Mind Skills coaching spaces. Welcome to George.
Thank you.
And Marla.
Yes.
Thank you.
It is my honor and pleasure to bring along my wife tonight, Marla Silverman, Dr. Marla Silverman, but you can call her Marla. Hi, Marla.
Hi.
And she is a psychologist, practicing psychotherapist, mostly specializing in couples. She can introduce herself.
Hi, everybody. Yes, I am a psychologist, not reformed or recovering. I'm still one.
She's still committing psychology.
That's right. And I work with individuals. I work with couples. I teach and train therapists, and I also run training for therapists to work with couples. So that's my background.
Yep. And in case if you didn't know that psychotherapy is a 7 on a scale of 10, couples therapy is a 18 on a scale of 10. It's off the scale. Really hard to do. So anyway, we are delighted to be here. Really hoping to give you a methodology, a simple methodology for dealing with the fears.
Absolutely. And just to give everybody a quick summary, you really aren't missing out on too much as far as part one is concerned. What we did cover off in part one was some of the content that George focuses on, which is circulated around his Mind Skills playbook. So at any time, I would encourage you to check out George's profile, and that's a great way to catch up.
Mm-hmm.
On some of his content,
And I'll
also
summarize last week's also,
yes,
no problem.
Yes, and then just before you get into the summary, let's just give them a little taste of what inspired you to choose Master Your Fears, and then I'd love you to just jump into your kind of definition summary.
Sure. I thought I was done with the issue of fears a long time ago when I left psychology to go into marketing consulting and a bunch of other things. But I found that in teaching mind skills, which are the basic core competencies, the basic core methods that cut across all areas of your personal and professional life that make for success, I found that as people learned, their fears kept coming up and they kept limiting them. They had all kinds of self-limiting beliefs and self-talk, and they found it hard to understand mind skills. So I realized, and as part of mind skills, also emotional management, it's part of mind skills to know what your emotions are, to observe them, and to be able to handle them. So I realized I really had to concentrate a little more on fear than I had planned to do. So that's where we are.
Awesome. So as far as the, I love that because I almost feel like, and I know this is something else that we can go over later, but fear is a part of life, and it's never going to be 100% gone, and a little bit of fear might even propel us to do great things. So also, could you just give everybody a nice summary of kind of like the journey? It was a really nice foundation that you covered off last time, George, and I'd love you to just kind of cover off the piece about just the main kind of definition of how you see fear and your definition of mastering your fears, because every guest that comes on the show has a slightly different variation. So we'd love to hear yours as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think we should just start off with talking about what is fear. Okay.
Sure.
I summarized it last time. Let Marla, how would you describe fear, and both realistic fear and what we're going to talk about tonight is primarily the other kind of fear, the fear that is persistent and unwanted, and the fear that you have faced perhaps many times. You've seen that you've lived through the fearful situation. Let's say it's public speaking. First time you did it, you were shaking and sweating. Next time you did it, it was a little easier. Next time, a little easier. Now doing it the 30th time, but you're still feeling some fear that is bothering you, that interferes with you. Not just the kind of fear that energizes you, but it's still interfering a little bit. It won't go away. That's the kind of stuff we're mostly talking about. So I want to talk about realistic fear, but what's the other kind of fear we're mostly talking about?
Well, when we're talking about fear that causes distress in your life or limits you in your life, we're talking about something that's got history, something that has experience behind it, that has beliefs behind it, something we've learned. And sometimes it's conscious and sometimes it's out of our awareness. So the ability to, often people talk about getting rid of your fears. My approach is to be respectful of your fears, to be curious about your fears,
Even
to let
grateful.
them inform you, and perhaps gratitude as well. But your fear or any emotion is giving you data. It's giving you information so that from your adult self, you then have choices about, what options you're going to take, how you're going to cope.
So what is fear? What is fear itself?
Well, fear is a physiologic response. It's an emotion. It's a state. It's a physiologic response. Um, it has there's a lot of neuroscience behind it, but I don't know that this is
No.
the place to go into it. So it's all of those. It's a state. It is felt in the body. It has beliefs behind it that may or may not be known. And the route into it is to get curious.
Before you do that, how does it differ from the other emotions?
Well, fear tells us that
Yeah.
there is danger.
That's what I wanted to get to. Yep.
Yeah.
That's what I agree, that it's telling you the world is unsafe. It's an immediate physiological reaction that's telling you danger, danger, danger. It's flashing that big red danger sign. It's flashing the big red, you're unsafe. You got to do something immediately about it. Now, it may be something coming at your head and you got to duck, and that's appropriate fear. Maybe there's a guy outside your door with a gun that you see from the, your TV doorbell, and that's appropriate fear, and you can take appropriate rational action. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the other persistent fear that won't go away.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So is that okay, Indra? Should we? I'd like to just go into the different
Yes,
phases of what do you do? How do you
George,
approach it? Sure.
I just wanted to jump in to define that, because I feel like you kind of defined it, but so there's two types of fears from what I've just and hopefully I've gathered it correctly in my quotes from both of you. But so the first type is like the real type of
Like
fear, like the
rational
guy
fear,
at the
sure.
door,
Yep.
right? And the second one is like irrational, or we're creating it in our head, or it's not real. So this is the one that we're going to focus on today,
I
right?
wouldn't quite say it's not real.
Okay,
It's
but
it's
it's not like a physical one. It could be something that we, from our belief
yes.
system, have created.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yep.
perfect.
Yep.
Okay, just so we all know the specific type of fear. And sorry, continue
Mm-hmm.
on. Thank you.
Okay. So last time, I'm going to do this very fast because it's in the tape from last time, um, and I even made an auto transcript of it. By the way, this tonight you can follow along on the transcript. Marla is going to be saying some amazing things, and the auto transcript is in the nest, and you can follow along real time. And if you miss part of it and want to go back, you can go all the way back to the beginning of this, any place, anywhere, and you can even search it. I believe in real time. I'm not sure, certainly afterward. Um, and but basically, I said there were kind of three phases. You you come to the fear, and Marla and I are going to go into great detail about this. So this is the quick TLDR summary. Um, you come to fear with curiosity. That's the first phase. We're going to talk about how do you do that. Then we're going to acknowledge the fear with gratitude for protecting us. And we'll talk about how do we talk with the fear, not to the fear, but with the fear. So that's the second phase. The third phase is we're going to reassure the fear, the part that's fearful, the parts that the fear is protecting, that we're an adult now and we've got this, and we're going to try to get it perhaps to take another role than scaring us. So that's basically the simple summary. So we want to get at Marla is sitting here nodding. So I got the stamp of approval here. By the way,
George,
Marla is,
before you
by the
launch,
way, go ahead.
sorry, George, before you
Sure.
launch in, just one thing. We are having some issues with our chat feature, I'm told. And the only way we'd love to hear from you in the chat is to, because a lot of people, for some reason, aren't having access to it except for me. In the chat, I can see the chat, I can click on it. So the way to get to access is to go to my profile page and just to click below that very first space bar, the space card, and you'll see all the entries that I've started entering in the welcome to the space as well. So just hop in there. Apologies for this inconvenience with the space chat, but you can still chat, everyone. I know that Lance and Karen are probably trying to break in as well.
It's the
Yeah,
purplish card that has nothing around it. It's just sitting there by itself, no messages around it. And you'll see the chat will be in the replies to that.
perfect. Okay, everyone. Thanks, George.
Sure. Oh, that's a shame. Because we're hoping for the safety of being asked questions that way. But I think people are up to it. They'll find it. Okay. So, Marla, I wanted to say why I defer to Marla so much about this. A lot of this comes from Dick Schwartz's work, Richard Schwartz, who is founder of the IFS Institute.
Internal Family Systems
which
Therapy.
Is right, internal family systems therapy. We won't pause to explain what that means, but their website, I believe, is ifs-institute.com, but just
.org.
.org. Just Google IFS Institute if you're interested in it. It comes from Dick's book, No Bad Parts. There's another book by Jay Earley, Earley, called Self-Therapy, right? Jay's a friend of ours, and he's written a marvelous book for the layman, as it were, but a lot of professionals are using it. And wonderful books. You can get more there. But Marla is a trained IFS therapist. She trains other IFS therapists in IFS therapy. I have only been to a 1-week intensive workshop with Dick Schwartz, so I'm by no means an IFS therapist, no means a therapist at all. Those days are long gone for me. So Marla works with this day in and day out and has developed, as you'll hear, unbelievably easy, simple, straightforward ways of explaining this. So Marla, I have a fear. Let's say people are afraid. Let's say I'm afraid of public speaking, whether it's a small group. Next Monday, a business presentation, or whether it's a keynote speech in front of 1,000 people, and I'm feeling terrified. So when you experience a fear, you know it's unfounded. You know the material. What's the IFS approach to it?
So the IFS approach
Are you able to hear Marla? Okay, because I want you to get every word here. Is that okay?
Yes, we can hear her.
Perfect.
Good.
Go ahead.
It's a very safe and user-friendly approach. And it's similar in many ways to some Eastern philosophies, a mixture of East and West. And the main thing is that whenever we experience any emotion that our adult cognitive self says, this shouldn't be, but it is, that's the time to take a breath, get into your adult self, and get curious. Because all emotions, fear especially, have information, right? They're there to keep us safe. They all have good intention. Even if the form in which they're expressed causes distress and difficulties in our life, there's always the piece that they have a good intention. And generally, the form that's causing the problems is because they got the coping strategies got formed when we were younger, maybe with 5 years life experience, 10 years, 15 years of life experience. I'm assuming that people on this space are beyond that, are older, right? So we have a lot more life experience than when these fears were formed, right? We have a lot more tools in our toolbox. So the first thing is to know that there is good intention, which allows us to be curious and to invite out the part that in George's example is afraid, and to ask it.
So we weren't afraid of public speaking in front of a large audience when we were 5 years old. But that fear started back then with something else.
It started with something, right? So we can get curious, and we can the first question I would often ask is, I'd invite the part out, let it know in internal dialogue, I know you're there. I'm aware of you, right? And I'd like you to present yourself in whatever way you'd like to so I can learn more from you, right? And sometimes these...
Not talk to you, learn more from you.
Right. And sometimes these parts will get a visual image. Sometimes we'll hear it. Sometimes it'll be a felt sense. Sometimes it's located in our body. And sometimes parts may not be ready to come out and have a conversation with us.
They're skittish as hell.
Right. And then the question becomes, what would you need, part, in order to feel safe enough to talk with me? Right?
Beautiful.
So notice there's a lot of support and kindness in this approach, right? So let's say we get in touch with the part and we say, what's your message for me? What is it that you want me to know? And it will tell us, be careful, people are going to make fun of you, they'll humiliate you, they'll reject you, they'll abandon you, something of that flavor, right? So we listen and we find out what the fear is, right? It's not just a sensation. It has experience behind it. It has beliefs behind it, right?
So what if it comes out with a belief and says, I'm afraid of failure?
Right. So the question is, first we validate it. I hear that you're afraid of failing. Where did you learn that? Right? How long have you had that belief? Where did it come from?
When did it appear?
When did it appear? How long has it been with you? Right?
Right.
And very often what we hear is it started young. Right?
Started when I knocked my blocks off in kindergarten.
Right. Right.
They made fun of me and said, George, you can't build a tower with those blocks. What a clumsy oaf he is.
Right. Right. So one of the things that happens when we form some coping mechanism or some fright is that in some way we feel alone with it, right? So we have whatever the fear is, and we have the sense of being alone with it. So when we are there as our adult with the part, and we're talking with it, that young part no longer feels alone. And that in and of itself is very powerful, right? Mm-hmm. It tends to regulate, calm, quiet the part that carries the fear, right? So I want you to really, really get that process of staying in your adult self and talking to a part that carries some distress.
With a part, not to a part.
Right, talking with it.
Right.
Thank you. That process in and of itself will bring more regulation, which means calming of your system and less distress.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
So that's an immediate.
That's an immediate
Right.
thing, right? So as the adult, we stay in curiosity, and what we're moving toward is compassion, right? That our younger selves didn't come up with these difficulties or these ways of coping because they were deficient. They came up with them because it was the best they could figure out
At the time.
at the time,
Right.
with the amount of life experience and cognitive development, and emotional, the emotional environment they lived in,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when we get that, then we can treat ourselves as we would a beloved child that we're raising, right? Any of you who are parents, right? You know, if your child comes to you and they're upset and they come in from school and they say, you know, Johnny told me I can't draw, or I don't know how to play sports, or whatever. We sit and we listen. We let them get it all out, so to speak, right?
Johnny told me I scribble scrabble.
That's right.
Remember, our
That's
daughter
right.
said that.
That's right. Our daughter came home from preschool and said that her friend told her she scribble scrabbled. And so you listen, right? You take it seriously. And often what happens in those circumstances is the child will kind of divest themselves of the experience. They'll be witnessed, they'll be heard, they'll be understood. And often that's enough. And then they go off and do their thing and play. And then as parents, we're left holding the feeling. But so coming back to, we have at least two parts of ourselves in order to work with a distressing emotion or fear. We have our adult self, right? The self that's grounded in reality, that has the ability to take your breath, the ability to see the reality that you're in, to be present, right? Lots of philosophies talk about presence. So we come from that adult place, and from that adult place, we invite out the part that's afraid or has a distressing emotion. We talk with it. We have it inform us. We listen to it. We let it know that we're with them, and then we ask the part, do you realize I'm with you right now? Right? Because it's not enough to just listen. The part has to take in, receive that they're being heard. That's crucial. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to stop right now and see if this is making sense, if there are any questions before I go on.
Sure. Do we want to invite anybody up at this stage,
Well,
George?
I think I would rather just
You
ask
want to
more.
just go
Yeah, I
through?
think I
Sure.
would like to just hit the
And
different stages, and then we can ask a
sure.
question, because I think we ought to role
Okay.
play it first before
Yes.
we
And
take
what I
questions.
was thinking is a way to share if there was any questions would be to go to the chat feature,
Yes.
which everybody, if you could go to my profile page and ask a question if you have one, we can always come back to that. Even if we move forward, we can
Right.
clarify
So
that.
if people
Yeah.
kind of get it, that's fine, because we'll do it, and they'll see how it works.
Right. And one of the things I suggest is as you're listening to me, you might just notice what you're feeling,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
So just kind of notice in your body any sensation, any feeling, any thoughts. Just jot them down,
Mm-hmm.
right?
And while you're at it, jot down the word curiosity and
And kindness.
kindness and gratitude, appreciation of the fear, because it's got a good intent. So the idea here, the title of this could be don't fight your fear, befriend it. So
Yes.
this is a process. What we're describing here is we're going to find that fear. We're going to listen to it. We're going to draw it out, and we're not going to fight it like a lot of the old psychologies did. We are going to befriend it, and we'll get into how you do that in a moment. But I think we should go on to the next phase. You end up with, because you're being absolutely crystal clear. I don't think you need feedback for that. This is crystal clear. And again, you can listen to it. You can read my paper on it or my article on it, etc. But so we appreciate the fear. It's come out. It's talking with us. It's reminding us of some past instances where it started. So it says, it started in kindergarten. What's the next steps? You hear it out. You say, I'm here for you as an adult. What's next?
So, one of the things I like to have people ask their young parts is, do you know how old I am? And very often,
Isn't that a strange question?
yeah,
It's so profound.
yeah, very often, these young parts are surprised, right? And then you tell them, you live in me right now. You live in me, and if you would like, you can even look out through my eyes and see where we are in 2022, right?
And how far we've come.
Well, that might be a little premature,
Okay.
but so bringing that young part, inviting it to see what's happening now, right? That you have survived whatever was difficult. And this is how you're living now, right? So,
And instead of admonishing it, what are you going to do with it?
you're going to befriend it,
How?
right?
How?
So you might invite it, as I said, to look and see where you are. If we go back to the example that you gave, George, of having performance anxiety in front of a group, um, you can say to the group, to this young part, you're too young to speak to this big audience. That's my job as the adult, right?
I love it.
Right. So you can invite it either to take a chair on the side of the room and watch you, or you can say, if I have to go give this speech, but if you like, I can put you in a room with some friends and some toys, and you can wait for me, and I'll tell you all about it afterwards, right?
I know this
So,
sounds bizarre, but it really works. So go with it.
right. Um, the the bringing your adult self, not trying to talk the part out of its fear, but being there in a way um, that was necessary when these fears started, but wasn't present, right?
Mhm.
So you get a redo in a certain sense. You get to be that good parent, that good caring adult, to be with this frightened child and to take it out of the environment that is overwhelming for it, right?
Mhm.
Often people want to get rid of their fear because they're afraid if they feel it, they'll relive it. They'll re-enter the distressing state, the discomfort, the overwhelmingness, right?
Even the panic.
The panic, and the panic, the terror.
Mhm.
Um, this is a way of not reliving it. It's a way of holding it, acknowledging it, validating it, while still being in the present and taking the child um, out of that old environment, right? Would you like to come with me and be here in 2022 with me? right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will say, so this is fairly straightforward. There are some things that are uh, deeper that require more, and that's the when we get into the field of psychotherapy. There are some things that we have experienced that are at the level of trauma, or there isn't enough support to do it by oneself. Often we use friends um, in that way as a support. And then we use psychotherapy when there's something that is too hard to do by ourselves. But what we can do, even in those circumstances, is recognize from our adult self, this is more than I can handle by myself. I need some help. And then we reach out for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's still our adult in there saying, I care about me. I care about my young parts. I'm going to do what's necessary to bring regulation and calm
Mm-hmm.
to my system.
Yep, yep. And now I want to go back to the idea of what. So you've told it, okay, I'm an adult. You can look out through my eyes, look at the circumstance. You bring it kind of into the present. How do you befriend the part that's feeding you this fear, that's creating this fear?
You do that by relationship.
How?
Okay, right. So we're talking in the field now of relationship and attachment. So I might say to the part, if it were my part, are you hearing me? Can you see me? What's it like for you as I'm telling you or I'm responding to you? Right? So we're developing a relationship, and that's about trust. Okay? Often young parts don't trust our adult because our adult wasn't there when the initial difficulties formed,
Hmm?
right? We hadn't developed yet. So it has to get to know us, right? Like any um, friendship, we get to know someone. We get to see that they're reliable. We get to see that they carry through on what they say. This is the development of trust. And this happens over time. So whenever we work with a part that is holding some distress, it's really important to check in with that part um, many times during the week. Daily would even be best. Just like you get up in the morning, you wash your face, you brush your teeth, say hi to the part. How are you doing today? Just want you to know I'm thinking of you. Just checking in on your well-being, right? This is the
And I'm
development.
here to listen.
This is the development of a relationship,
Right.
right? Not a one-off.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we're not. I'm glad you mentioned that because this is not a 5 minute or a half-hour process. This is a recurring process, maybe over the course of an hour, a day for several days, maybe even several months. So it's an ongoing process of dealing with that persistent and unwanted, whatever it is, emotion, impulse, or thought. In this case, we're talking about fear, but this is applicable, as I'm sure you've gathered, to anything that is persistent and unwanted.
Right. You know, in terms of uh, friendship, uh, what we do when we have a friend who's has some distress uh, or illness, we call them, right? We call them for a bunch of days in a row. We check up on them. How are you doing? We listen to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
We do that with our young parts also, right? That's a kindness that we do for ourselves so that there are no parts that should or could ever be gotten rid of. What we have to do is invite them into our system, update them, let them know where we live, how old we are, right?
Right. If you
And to free them of the beliefs that they still carry
Mm-hmm.
based on the old experience, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. If you, what about the issue of getting it to do something else or taking another role? Is that something that's too advanced for somebody just coming for this? Should we go into this or that part or not? Or
Well, I'll just say,
mention it? Yeah.
just mention it briefly, is that as our parts start to feel accompanied
And trusting.
and they're trusting and they're we don't let them take over, but rather speak for them and take care of things from an adult place.
Rather than from them.
Right, right. Um, so as they start to shift and start to not need to do the old coping strategy, sometimes the part feels like, I don't know what to do now. Uh, Often what happens is as that burden that they're carrying is lifted, parts will choose to do things that are age appropriate. So they may say, I want to go off and, you know, shoot basketball hoops, or I want to go play with my dolls, or that is very, very frequent. Um, and for other parts, we take their intention to keep us safe, and we may suggest a different role for them. We may say something like, you are sensitive. So you are so super sensitive to anything that feels like it could be somebody rejecting you. Could you kind of hold that job, and when you're aware of it, let me, the adult, know, and I'll handle it.
You try to handle it, I'll handle it. Right.
Right.
So you're not coming from that immature part, in this case, the fear part. It's handing over a signal to the adult. Oh, that's that thing again. Okay, I'll watch for that. Right. Or it could be taking the form of excitement, energizing.
That's right.
It could be noticing what's in the subtleties in the room. It could be a vigilant, not warner, but it could be just a vigilant part that's noticing what's happening. People talk about situational awareness, just watching what goes, instead of being a fearful part of you that's warning you, it's just taking into account what's going on in the room. What's the energy level? What's the interest level? Is the temperature right? Is the voice right?
And also what happens is when our parts don't have to carry the burdens that they picked up, it makes room in your system, in your energy system, for what strength, what capability would have been there that didn't kind of get squelched or buried, right? So creativity starts to happen more, a lightness, looking forward to things, all the capacities that got truncated, got minimized, got squelched when the part had to deal with the distressing situation.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's role play real quick.
Okay.
Just we'll move along very fast, faster than you ordinarily would, just to give you a flavor of what this looks like. Because we've been talking about it. Let's do it. So I come to you and I say, Marla, I'm scared to death of when I do magic. I'm scared to death that people are going to catch me, and I feel tremendous anxiety, fear, whatever you want to call it. I sweat. I shake.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And I got to do it in front of 1,000 people next week because I'm doing a keynote speech and I'm going to do a rope trick.
Uh-huh. Okay, I hear you. So what happens, George, in your body? How do you know you're scared?
Oh, I feel it in my chest. I feel it in my bowels. I feel it in my groin. I feel it all over. It's just, and my shoulders tense up.
Okay.
Sweat appears on my brow.
All right. So is there anything you already know about this, or can we go directly to the part that holds this fear?
No, we can go. We can go to the part that holds the fear.
Okay. Yeah, so invite it out. Let it know you're aware of it.
Okay. I'm aware of that part that's scared to death of speaking and performing.
So where do you know it in your body right
In
now?
the chest.
In your chest. Do you have an image of it or
Yeah,
not?
yeah, I didn't, but now that you ask me, image, yeah, I do.
Uh-huh. So say hi to it.
Hi, yeah, hi, little George. Little
Right.
George with his little deck of cards there. I can see him.
Right.
His little half deck, half size deck that his
Right.
father bought him.
Right.
Right.
So ask him to tell you what he needs you to know. And just listen. Don't figure with your head. You're just going to listen.
What he needs me to know.
What he needs you to know. What's his message for you? I mean, he's sending you all these experiences.
His message is that, if you screw up, I will not use the F word. If you F up, the trick, your friends will all laugh at you.
Aha. Yeah. So tell him you got it.
I got that. Yeah, I got that. Yeah, they're going to really make fun of you and say, "Oh boy, I
Yeah.
think you're so." Yeah, right.
Yeah. So let him know that you can you got how at that age that would have been terrible.
Oh, it was terrible. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I practiced this trick for days and days and days, and I tried it on my friends, and they knew exactly what I did. Didn't fool anybody, and they laughed.
Uh-huh. Right. Right. So ask him if he's aware that he lives in you now.
Yes, he is. He's aware because he's seen all the stuff I've done in magic, and that I'm a member of an invitational-only society that's supposed to be the top 200 close-up magicians in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not as good a performer as many or most of them, but I am more knowledgeable.
So let him talk.
Okay.
Let him talk and listen to him. And see.
Wow, I see you really mastered this stuff. I see you really got it. I mean, that classic pass that you practiced 300 times a day for 5 years, you really got it. You're one of the only people in the world who can do it. Wow, I'm really impressed by how far you've come and how you've taught so many professional magicians how to make their magic stronger.
So it sounds like he's been watching.
Oh yeah, he's been watching, all right.
Yeah.
But he's always in there saying, "What? Wait a minute! They're going to catch you and they're going to ridicule you."
Right. Right. So ask him what would happen, or well, I'm going to change that.
Hmm?
Tell him what you would do if people made fun of him now. If
Oh.
made fun of you now.
Okay, here comes an F-bomb. I don't know. It's Indra asked me to keep it Disney. So ask me the question again.
So let him know what you would do if you were doing a trick now.
Oh, now I would.
And someone made fun of you.
I would. So the cards all dropped on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any idea what card he picked or where it is. And I look at them and I say, "Wow, I really effed up, didn't I?"
Right.
I would laugh at myself because I know my abilities. It doesn't make me bad. It makes me some guy who dropped some cards.
Right.
By the way, I could then ask it. I have a whole technique. I say, "Well, I'm not that good. Tell me the card."
You telling him?
Yeah, he says, I'm telling him, yeah, you remember that I just asked the person, what was the card? And I pick up the cards off the floor. I have him shuffle them. And I make the card come out of my shoe, fold it up. And it's his signed card. that's a great trick that he'll talk about for the rest of his life. He
Yeah,
never saw it.
so check in.
So he can,
Check in with this part and see how he's responding. Just listen.
he's saying, wow, you really have this handled, don't you?
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing could go wrong. I mean, if the whole thing goes wrong, it's no big deal.
So let him know that he doesn't have to do tricks for people anymore, that you do them. You're adult.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's got that now. He got that.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
He can relax now.
Yeah. Ask
He can
him.
relax now, and you know what he can do? He's suggesting a role to me. He's saying, I can prompt you in young, playful responses while you're 80 years old, and yet I can coach you to be more of a kid. I can let your playful stuff out. I can let you wisecrack. I can let you fool around. I can let you do self-deprecating humor.
Right. That's a big word for a little kid.
Right.
Right. So feel what it's like to have this little kid in you as part of your team.
Yeah, really empowered. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Maybe you want to make a date with him to do something.
Yeah, show him some stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So check in with him and ask if there's anything else he wants from you right now or wants you to know, since we're going to have to stop soon. And let him know that you will be back.
Yeah, I'll let him know that I'm here. He can check in with me anytime, interrupt, and virtually anytime. I'm here to listen to him. Here for him.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that he's here for me, because the childish, playful stuff will come up.
Yeah. And what are you feeling toward him, George?
Love. I really love him. He's such a cute guy. Wow.
Right. And I see it in your face and feel it in your chest.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And what is he feeling right now? Just look at his body.
He's feeling very loved and supportive. He wants to give me a hug.
Okay. So do it.
Mm-hmm. Good. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a flavor of how that might work out. Somebody who's been through it many times. So don't expect it to be quite as smooth as when you do it. And Marla's asking some rather subtly astute questions that you might not come up with. But that's the way, that's it in a nutshell conceptually. That's one demonstration of how it might work. Don't expect to be able to do this with any great degree of adeptness right away. But my hope, and Marla's hope, I'm sure, is to kind of set you on a road, set you on a journey that the usual approaches to fear, which is grin and bear it, or ignore it, or push through it with great courage and strength and bravery, all of which work to some extent.
Sometimes.
So the approaches to fear from the various philosophies, they have been very helpful to a lot of people in a lot of ways and a lot of times. And I would just add this to the repertoire. What's been helpful to you in the past has been helpful to you in the past. And I wouldn't abandon it. If you love journaling, journal. But you might ask it some of these questions instead of just, the usual questions, and maybe go a little further than the usual answers of, I feel fear of failure, I feel fear of this or that or the other thing.
Well, if I can interrupt,
Sure.
George, it's the not going cognitive about it. It's the listening. Because if you listen, you will hear and you will be surprised, right? You will learn things. If you listen not just to words, but to how your body, how your organism is letting you know So it might be felt in your body, it might be a visual image, it might be a color, it can be anything. Listen.
Absolutely. So, anything at this point? I think it's very appropriate to take questions. A few questions quickly,
Sure.
and
Yes. If anybody would like to request to speak and ask any questions, it would be a great time. While you're doing that, Ron, have you chosen anybody that's tweeted out the space for today?
and also Gia has put up in the not in the nest, but in the
Yes,
the
I
chat
have. And
of the no bad parts
sorry.
thing. Go ahead, Ron.
Thank you, George. Uh, Tonight, we highlight Lance Bird, Seabird,
Ah,
for tweeting out the space. And his profiles, I'm a newly published author of a children's book called Going to Grandma and Grandpa's House, a Logan Adventure, Book 1. See my website, lancecbird.com. Lance, we appreciate you. And of course, we say hello to Karen. And thank you for tweeting out the space.
congratulations on the book, Lance. That's lovely to hear.
Yay, congratulations, Lance and Karen, because if Lance is there, I know Karen is there. So thank you so much for tweeting out the space. And I think Ron just fell off the platform.
Oh boy,
Let's
I
hope
hope he
he's
didn't
not
hurt.
injured.
Yeah, exactly.
I know. I know.
I heard the thump. Boom.
I know. I just thought, whoa, they're dropping
I
like flies,
apologize.
the
I'm good.
team tonight.
I just
Wow.
accidentally exited out.
He's back.
Oh,
All
he's
right.
back.
So thank you so much to everybody else that also tweeted out the space. We really appreciate you. Okay. Do we have any takers for questions, or maybe we should also scan the chat as well if there's any questions
I'm doing that.
in the chat.
I don't.
Mm,
Thank you for your
yeah, I
comment,
don't.
Ron. This is very profound. I tend to agree. Uh, I hope people will really give this some serious thought and experimentation because it really does work spectacularly. So, any questions? How have we stunned you with such a new approach that you're sitting there speechless and unable to even ask a question? And we could even
Well,
begin this
also,
process if somebody wants to come up with a
sure.
fear that they
Okay.
have that's.
We have Gia. Okay, let's get Gia up
My
here.
friend Gia. That's terrific.
Okay. And
Gia
Dr. Emma's
from
here.
Malaysia.
Not
Gia from
right.
Malaysia, just starting her day at 8 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning Malaysian time, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, we got a few people. Good.
Gia, go ahead. Welcome
Hi,
to the
Gia.
Positivity Vibe Tribe. It's wonderful to see you here.
I don't see her. Still see Gia as a listener.
She's up here on the platform as a speaker. She might have some technical issues.
This is really getting wonky.
Actually,
I definitely have her as a listener.
yeah. Oh, she's just dropped off. So the same thing happened to her. Gia, come back. Okay, she's completely gone.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
She knows what to do.
Yeah, she's back. Okay, let's get her back up here.
What are we calling?
Hey, welcome. Gia, welcome. Can you hear us?
Your mic looks muted to us.
Her mic is still muted, but mine is not.
No. Okay, there's Gia. Go ahead, Gia.
Hi. Thank you so much, Indra, for hosting another amazing episode. And George and Marla, oh my God. I don't even know where to begin with this one. We had a session, just for everyone's here, for background. We had a similar session with George on fears and our different parts. And I had a specific session with him as well, another one. And every time we speak about this, I even find more parts of me that are trying to speak up. So I'm still learning how to listen to the different parts of me and how they work together and what are they trying to say to me or what they're trying to protect me from.
Thank you. That is a great illustration of
of inner wisdom,
Yes.
right? It's like all the parts of you are your wisdom tribe,
Yeah, and we know
right?
it's important to emphasize that if, in case it hasn't been obvious, it should be said because of past schools of psychology. Um, we are not trying to get rid of parts. We are the idea here is we are multifaceted people. We are multiple parts, and they're all in there working with you. They're your team, they're your tribe, they're your. We're not trying to get rid of any of them. Even the ones that are seemingly the most self-destructive, addictions and all kinds of things, they are trying. Their intent is good, their behavior is destructive. So, but they always have good intent, and we're not trying to get rid of them. We're trying to befriend them and get them to do something a little different.
Well
So,
said.
so go ahead, Gia. I don't know if you had anything in addition to say. I would like to get on to some other people.
Actually, I'm writing down what you said. This was really good. What you said, their intent is good, but their behavior is destructive.
Yes.
And I think that's exactly what was happening with me because I tried to shut them out and shut them up for a very, very long time, trying to just push them down to move on with my adult life. But I realized that I was keeping it so bottled up inside that they exploded, like I spoke with you,
Right.
George.
Right.
And they exploded and they came out vicious. They were vicious, they were angry, and it was just a mixed bag of emotions.
Mm-hmm.
So today I'm with my husband, Crow here, Lukman,
Oh,
and
great.
we wanted to discuss fear as a couple. Like, I understand how a lot of things that now we acknowledge our parts, we listen to them, we discuss them, and we speak with them, and we live with them, we recognize them, right?
Mm-hmm.
But how do I discuss that with my significant other without bringing out that child destructive behavior? Instead of the child speaking, it's me as the adult speaking. But at the same time, my fear as a child protected me and set me on this path of protection as an adult.
Right. So Gia, you have a lot of awareness and the ability to be aware internally of what the impulse is or the urge to say, right? That's going to be our younger part. And it's automatic. And what we can do with our partner is to talk for it. Right now I'm here with you and I have a part that really would like to scream at you, right? Is a very
Mm.
different thing than to scream.
That's talking for the part, not from the part.
Right.
Mm.
And for your partner, I hope your partner's listening right now.
I
He's
am.
here, he's right next to you.
Yeah, to
Hey.
to get curious about, hey Gia, um, what do you know about that part? Or I know that I can feel that part of you that wants to scream. And when I feel that, I've got a part that says, I'm running for the hills, right? I'm going to disappear. So you begin to talk about some really serious things without acting them out, right? The trouble we get into is in acting out on each other. But when we can talk about it, there's trust that develops, which is, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be here with you, in connection with you, and I'll tell you about what's difficult for me, right? I'm not going
Mm.
away. I'm here, I'm present, I'm with you. Does that make sense?
It does. It absolutely does. And I think throughout our, we've been married for 11 years. I've known him since I was 15.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of raised each other.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the things that from when we were earlier as a couple and the fear that developed and then we grew as into adults and with children and everything, I think my problem was how to kind of acknowledge the phases that we go through into adulthood.
That's right.
And a lot of the times I brought my fear when we were early in the relationship back into our adulthood. And
Right.
it was pretty messy. Is that right, Luqman? Am I saying that right, Luqman? Is that how you felt?
Yeah. And then we have the opportunity for repair. Right.
Sorry, I was trying to. I had my mic muted.
Oh,
I was saying I think that
I think we've lost
my
you.
mic got
Yeah,
muted again.
Yeah.
No, someone muted me
yeah,
again. I think.
Crow. We're hearing background noise there. We're talking to Gia, so just mute your
Oh,
mic
hang
for a
on a
sec.
second.
Mute your mic for a second, and just let us finish with Gia, and then we'll get to the other people.
That's
Go ahead.
that's my husband.
Okay. I didn't realize that. I'm sorry. Pleased to meet you, Luckman. How you doing?
I'm okay.
Yeah, and you were going to say.
I was saying I think that the way that we kind of experienced this was in two different ways, and I think that it kind of emerged differently as we kind of grew, because I think initially, and I'm very open about this when it comes to the beginning of our marriage, I don't think I was a very good husband, when we first got married, and I didn't do any of the big things, but I did a lot of the little things that contribute towards a lot of frustration for her.
Right, of
And I
course.
think because of that, it made it very easy for her to kind of give in to the fears that she would have.
Right.
But as we've grown, we've grown and matured, and I know I've grown and matured. I think a large part of what I've gotten really good at is self-introspection. So
Great.
a lot of what I kind of, have to implement now is when she's explaining to me something that she has a problem with, I kind of have to put whatever my initial reaction is aside and just like, okay, well, listen, if this is what you have a problem with, help me understand why it's a problem. And then I can not only not do the thing that's bothering you now, but I can also avoid doing all the things that are like that thing so that we don't have this problem in the future.
Well,
And I think
that's beautiful. I will just say that the problems or the styles, especially in times of stress, they will come back. But what you can do with all your years of experience and being open with each other this way is you can catch it faster, or one of you catches it, and then you can
say, oh, that's that. There goes that part again.
Right.
Not accusation, not accusingly, but Marla and I are always laughing at our parts. There goes that part again, and it's like,
Right. Can I give a little example?
The latest one that we had is the mansplaining part. We catch myself mansplaining to Marla some technical thing, or she's a womansplaining to me some emotional thing. And it's just hilarious. It's very funny. We end up,
Right.
But go ahead, give an example.
There's the shorthand that happens when you're with somebody for a long time, right? So I'll give you one example.
Only 57 years.
Right. I'll give you an example. One day, George and I were in some same old, right? And for some reason, I got a bolt of wisdom. And I looked at him and I said, George, why don't you just tell me it's my fault? I'll tell you it's your fault. And then we'll just cut to the chase, right? And then we could both laugh about it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's that ability to recognize the dynamic that we know and not have to redo it, not have to, go deeply into it.
It's actually to be able to recognize the childish behavior.
Right.
But not ridicule it, not tamp it down, but it's funny. It's when older people, it's not always funny. Sometimes it's kind of vicious. But when older people start back and forth and acting like 5-year-olds, on one level it's kind of funny, and you can laugh at it. But the important thing is the parts talk. That I have a part that wants to do this. I'm not going to do that. But just recognize that I'm fighting that part. or that I'm asking that part to not do that right now. I'm an adult. I'm going to try to handle an adult way, but the part is going to try to keep coming up with the zingers, with the wisecracks, with the whatever. And I'm trying to control it. So it's parts, the parts talk. Then it also kind of takes it from responsibility.
I just want to say to both of you that to sit in appreciation and gratitude for how far you've come, right? And that that success in long-term relationships is being able to recognize when old patterns happen, to get out of them more rapidly, and to apologize or make repairs, right? It's not that they all go away for all time. They happen less frequently, but what you're looking for is when they happen on occasion, being able to recognize it, being able to make repairs rapidly.
And a good way to say it is, boy, that part of me really acted like a jerk.
I love it when you say that.
So it's not me that acted like it was that part of me, that silly 5-year-old part of me acted like a real jerk there, and you know. So
that's when I usually say to him, "I love a perceptive man."
Right, right.
If I could just ask a question
Sure,
while I'm here,
Sure.
because I wanna finish that thought.
Okay.
The kind of, I think that the place that we experience the most frustration, or at least I can speak to my part, and I'll let her speak to hers. I think the part where I experience the most frustration is, um, I think that because, again, initially in our marriage, I don't think I was the best husband initially. And, kind of as things have, grown and progressed, I do think I've gotten a lot better at it. But I think that that for Gia, like her means of protecting herself from the parts of me that weren't great before have now, it's so, I guess, set in her now that it's like, it's not going to go away, anytime soon. It's just like, okay, this is the way that I dealt with it, so I'm going to continue dealing with it this way now.
Right.
And I think that where I get frustrated as well. But okay, well, look, let's talk about this thing, right? Like you're upset. There's clearly something that I did wrong. Let's talk about this. And because before she wouldn't feel heard, or she didn't feel like acknowledged, or she didn't feel that, I was being receptive. She'll just say, I don't want to do that. And I can't be upset at her for that, because, like, well, I understand why. And I tell her all the time, I don't think you should forget, but I think that you have to learn at some point to forgive. I don't think it would be wise for you to forget. I think, but I think at some point you have to forgive.
So you're in a process, it sounds like, of rebuilding trust. And Gia, what you need to look at in yourself is what part of me is afraid to trust him, right? And to see what you would both need in order for there to be enough trust so that the part of Gia that's busy protecting you can step back, can relax, can feel like your adult can handle it.
Wow.
So, that's really, really good.
Yeah.
So you got some stuff to work on, you guys.
Yeah.
Pleased to meet you, Luckman. I've been hearing a lot about you.
Oh, yeah, likewise.
Heard a lot about you.
Likewise,
and,
I've heard so much about
you. Big handshake across, what is it, 8,000 miles? I don't know, 20,000? Big handshake.
Quite a few.
Yeah.
Right.
He's right next to you, George. He's in NJ right now.
He's in where?
New Jersey?
New Jersey.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. I thought it was in Indonesia.
But yeah. Well, no, not now. I was there visiting, but I had to come back for work. But I just want to kind of wrap up my part of talking.
Yeah, we need to.
I guess by saying, I think that I give her a lot of credit in terms of, I know that she sees the things that have been different. I mean, we're talking about like 5 years of just being consistent in things that I know that bother her.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we have gotten a lot better at those things.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
But I think that where I really just want to see her take that step is just getting to the point where, when it's like, okay, well, listen, this is the thing that I'm calling out in you right now. The immediate response isn't, well, okay, now we have to defend ourselves, because like it's not an attack. It's just, this is
Mm-hmm.
the thing that we need to work on,
Yeah.
and
That's
we can
right.
get there
Beautiful.
together.
Wow.
That's
But
right.
that's exactly it.
That's it.
Wow.
It sounds like you've got a path.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Terrific.
Hmm. And I
So,
think that comes with growing up together in marriage, is that raising each other, is that those parts kind of get mixed up a
Yeah.
lot through along the way.
mm,
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm recognizing right now, is that my fear when I was 25 is not the same as the way it wasn't the same. I mean, my fear at 25 is not relevant anymore to my 35-year-old self right now.
right.
Uh-huh.
Is that we've grown and things are different, and I think for me now that I understand a lot of these different parts and I'm learning to listen to them, a lot of them I actually identified them as 25-year-old myself,
Mm.
then there's the 19-year-old myself, and I'm bringing them up to now.
Beautiful.
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 Yep. Yep. Well,
Yeah, so
Beautiful.
that's what
thank you so much for being
yes, thank you.
so open, and both of you. That's took a lot to do that, and I really appreciate that. Is there
Oh
anybody
yeah,
else?
that's our thing.
Yeah, pardon me?
That's our thing.
Good, yes,
Yeah.
good, great. So, is there anybody else before we wrap it
Thank
up?
you so much.
Just, you're quite welcome. Is there
Pleasure
anybody
to
else?
talk to you both.
I know Dr. Emma's up here as a speaker. Anybody else that wanted to ask a quick question? Because Indra needs to wrap it up pretty soon now. But again, if we have time for probably one more question.
Yeah, Dr. M, do you want to jump in?
Sure, sure. Gosh, thank you, George. Thank you, Indra, for having this space. And thank you, Gio and Luckman, for coming up and adding what you have added now to this space in a space setting that's very courageous. And I think that it really did take it a bit deeper. So that's much appreciated. I was going to ask George, uh, um, uh, does this apply to other negative emotions? And if there's anything different about it in the case of rooting out the part of ourselves that might be expressing negative thoughts or limiting thoughts or thoughts that then depressive thoughts, let's call them. And then, so that's my first question. And my second question is it necessary for there to be a third person asking this, or is this something that can be done completely with self-talk?
So this applies to all parts, right? Parts that bring distress and parts that bring joy also, on the whole continuum. And your second question was,
Can it be done by yourself or other people?
yes, you can work with yourself. You can read the books that were put up on the nest. I would add another one, which is Self-Therapy Workbook by Bonnie Weiss, that kind of takes you through the steps. If you
Yes.
hit a stuck place and it feels like you can't go any further by yourself, that's when you ask for help.
But much of this can be done by yourself as you get good at it. It's like a skill like anything else. At first, it's going to be a little clumsy and it's going to feel a little odd. And,
Yeah, it's a practice.
It's
It is a
right.
practice.
And you got to practice the practice. So, this is really true of any negative, or and as Marla said, positive. I wasn't thinking about positive, but really any, just to stick with the negative for a second, any unwanted and persistent parts like thoughts, feelings, impulses, actions, behaviors. So behaviors like, what do I mean by behavior? Procrastination, okay? Lashing out at people, fighting. It's, those are behaviors. Anger is the emotion. So it works with anger, guilt, depression, all the other so-called negative emotions.
Right? And depression is often, not always, but often a protective mechanism,
Hmm?
right? A part that keeps us down and keeps us from doing things that would feel
Shut down.
dangerous.
Shut down.
Right, right.
Pull in like the turtle. Stick my neck in my shell. Pull it all in. Protect it. Dampen it. Cool it. Cool it. Cool it, baby. That's can be part of depression. So it's like if you go out there openly, exuberantly pursuing your goals, I'm going to get in trouble. I better shut it down. Shut down. So yes, it applies to, fear. The mastering your fear is only our excuse. This is what we're talking about tonight, but it's really a broader message here, as you gathered.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And then your wife's name escapes me, George.
Marla.
So
It's Marla.
Marla, thank you so much, Marla. I really, really appreciate you doing this with us.
Oh, my pleasure. My
Yes.
pleasure. Thank you for your question.
Yeah,
Questions.
Marla achieves a level of clarity in psychology that is just utterly awesome. These are kind of hard concepts to talk about. They're vague, they're elusive, not necessarily vague, but they're kind of elusive to get your head around. People have been struggling with this, how do you handle things like how do you handle fear, since the Stoics and before.
Oh, please, since Adam and Eve.
Since Adam and Eve, I'm sure, yeah.
Right.
Well, we have no documentation on that. But anyway, we do have Aristotle's writings, and we have the Stoics' writings, and we have a lot of. So we've been struggling with these, but only in the last 50 years has psychology really made a lot of progress on what emotions are. And only in the last 10, 20 years have we really made a lot of progress on how do you really, what are some really powerful ways to handle them without, 12 years of therapy and without, much more directly, which is not.
George.
Yes.
Can I jump in there?
Please,
you asked the questions, and I see that I'm going to come in with some of the Eastern philosophies that Marla was inferring, as in meditation, affirmation work, some of these other things, journaling, to help support some of this process.
Mm-hmm.
Right. They are all ways to listen, to hear. As you know, there are different kinds of meditation, but the ability to make room for what is not consciously, present to express itself, right? Journalings, stream of consciousness journaling is a great way to do that. As you know, there are many kinds of journaling too. You can ask yourself questions, but I just love all the methodologies that open you up to let other parts of your system have a platform, to be heard, to be respected, to be learned from, right?
And I love it how you said all these different activities, and whether they come from the East or the West, they are ways that we can invite ourselves to open ourselves up, and also even play. And I was also reading recently that a lot of people that like to paint and even play sports and like even play with their kids and have fun. They're in touch with the child with them in them, and it's a great release to do all those sorts of things.
Absolutely.
To hike, to exercise, right?
Absolutely.
That's the way kids learn. They play.
Yeah, and
then we make them sit in classrooms for 7 hours a day, lockstep with their own age groups, and all that, and try to pour knowledge into their heads. But they learn more. They learn much more from their hobbies.
Well, and a lot of adults learn to re-own their kids
Yes.
and their ability to play when you have children.
Yeah. Exactly.
Mm,
Yeah,
It's a
exactly.
great joy.
Yeah. Now
absolutely.
I never grew up, so my theme song is from Peter Pan. I won't grow up.
I love that, George. And I just got confirmation from you regarding Saturday's questions on our conversation list that my questions were very school-like or childlike. So thank you.
Oh boy.
I love that. It was the biggest compliment you could have ever given me. So we do have one last speaker. So Samantha, we
Hey.
are trying to wrap up the space. We're starting to get to that point. Can you make this kind of a quick thing?
Yeah, for sure. Samantha Postman here.
Hi.
I've been listening on hi everyone. I've been listening in on the space. We talked a lot about mastering our own fears, and I realized we're wrapping up the space. I was just wondering if you could give some quick tips for those of us who are in a situation where somebody else is out of control with their fear, and we need to be the help them emotionally regulate quickly. Maybe that's one of our children or a spouse or a sibling
Right.
or just somebody that we're in interaction with, because I get that we can't control other people, but we can. I'm just wondering if you have a couple of quick tools that we can use to help bring someone into an emotional regulation
Okay.
quickly.
Yeah.
Hmm?
So quickly, because that's such an important issue with a child. First of all, helping somebody breathe. What happens is when they're out of control, there's shallow breathing. So what you want to help them do is, first of all, feel the floor with their feet so that they literally feel grounded, feel connected. To take some deep breaths to their belly. Usually, if they're out of control, that's too hard to do. So what you suggest is they breathe out first, um, and then the body will breathe itself. You breathe evenly with them because that will entrain another person, right? Especially a child, but of all ages. So you have to be the one to keep your breathing down because it's very easy, with the way we react to people and mirror neurons is we pick up people's energy
Now
and we start to feel it ourselves.
that's mostly a panic situation you're talking about.
Well, a dysregulation,
Yeah. Okay.
which doesn't have to be panic.
Yep. Gotcha.
Another thing you can do is that clear so far, Samantha?
Yeah, well, even when you said that, I started thinking about how to say that as a person without coming across as condescending or controlling. But I think I'm gonna, like, even just saying it for yourself, I'm gonna take a few minutes here to just take some big breaths and put my feet down while we're having this discussion,
Beautiful.
because they're more likely
Yep.
to mirror it if we're not telling them to do it. They're like, you
Exactly.
know
Yep.
what, I need to do this for a minute here while we're talking about this, and then they'll automatically. So like, I don't have that problem with my spouse, but I'm even thinking of a friend of mine whose spouse gets out of control,
Right.
like how to when he's upset about
Right.
something. So but doesn't always with children. But yeah, I was just
Right.
thinking about
So
how
what
I
do you
could do
do?
that without
Beautiful.
coming across as
So
condescending.
so also at a calmer time, if you have someone
Mm-hmm.
who tends to get dysregulated like that a lot, to talk when things are calm about, when you get dysregulated. That's like a nice neutral word. Or
Mm-hmm. I
when
like that word.
yeah, I love that word. Um, or when you get upset, or when we have that trouble between us, what can we do when that happens? What works for you? How could I be helpful to you, right?
Mm.
Rather
Notice her.
than
Notice
Yep.
her
you
tone.
have to.
Notice her tone. Not in an accusing way, but in the kind of
Right.
tone that Marl is using.
Right. It's
Mm-hmm.
that sense of, I care about you. This is important. What can we do together rather than telling them what they have to do? Because that doesn't
Yep.
fly,
Hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And to listen to that part that the person is
Right.
expressing, to take it seriously.
Yeah, I mean, listen, when things are dysregulated, you can't go cognitive because that's not where the person's coming from. So what you're
Exactly.
trying to do is get the person back into enough of a regulated state that something else is possible. I mean, that's the nitty gritty of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So even if you have a conversation afterwards, when the person can listen, if they're able to, that doesn't mean that when they're dysregulated, they're going to remember that. But maybe if they work out a sign, I like to use the timeout sign, with the two hands that make a T, that everybody agrees we're going to stop. Right in the middle, we're going to stop. That's our commitment to each other. Or anything, a nonsense syllable, a word, to get it to stop. Right?
And talking about it afterward is almost, it is so hard for people to not do it in a recriminating, blameful manner.
Right. There's no blaming or shaming allowed.
Right. And that is really hard to do because the other person was obviously wrong. Right?
No, actually, you say that in jest, but what I often notice is that if you have a couple, meaning two people, and one person looks like they go out of control a lot, and the other person looks like just the nicest person, I always look for how does that really nice, calm person provoke the other person? Right? It's not always the case, but it is
usually
often the case because the person who will act out looks like the problem, right? Gets identified as the problem.
But it could be the other person's passivity.
Often the person who's doing that is reacting. So when you see somebody explode, they're often reacting. They're not necessarily initiating.
That's right.
So then what? Yeah, and they overreacted perhaps, but yeah,
right,
it's a reaction.
Right. But you want to.
But I think that this is good. This is good advice too. Like even in some of us who've been traumatized as a child. Like my own marriage, sometimes when my husband says, or he'll say something just a certain way, and it's not anything, I'm not in danger, but my body remembers danger.
Exactly.
Because of someone else who said it the same way.
Exactly.
So yeah, sometimes we've had to get to cues where I'm like, you know what? We really need to, and when I say it a certain way, we really need to continue this conversation later. And then now it took many, many years for me to understand what was going on. And then he understands that I'm getting triggered, but I don't say you're triggering me. I just say, this conversation reminds me of, my childhood and I need some time to process.
Right.
We're going to continue this conversation later, but we have a long relationship where we figured this out. But I know people in the room here and all of you, that's why I wanted to bring it up. Sometimes we're just in situations where we want to bring back the deregulators into regulation. And if we're skilled at it, that can be a really important imperative skill in a situation when we're the person in the room who knows how to do it.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate and
I got to tell you a story
appreciate
about
your insights.
I got to tell you a story about Marla. I've told the story one or two other times. We were in New Hampshire, I think, skiing, and got out of the car, and a guy was standing there yelling at me and screaming at me because I had stolen his parking space, he said. Maybe I did. I mean, I didn't know it. I certainly didn't do it intentionally. He's screaming and yelling. And I was about to react, and Marla turned around and said to him, and she really meant it. See, I couldn't have pulled it off. But she absolutely meant it. She said, "You're having a really hard day." And he's just stopped in his tracks. And
well, it was probably more, I'm so sorry that we're adding stress to your day.
Yeah, that's probably what it was. Yeah. So sorry we're adding stress to your day. Of course we'll move our car. We didn't see you. Happy to do so. There's a spot over there. He said, no, I'll grab that spot. I said, no problem. So it's, and
George loves that story.
Yeah. It was because he would have killed me if I would come back at him. So anyway, that's a methodology to work on that will absolutely be magical to you, and I wish you all luck with it. And I use this variations of this in some of my mind skills spaces, um, to open people up to, for instance, when people are problem solving, they tell themselves all kinds of stuff, or they come up with bold solutions that scare them. You come up with a bold, creative solution, and all you can do is, because it scares you, you start talking about why that idea won't work. Well, no, that's premature in problem solving. You don't do that. You come from, it's going to work. We can make it work. We'll find some way to make it work. Yes, it's an unfeasible idea in its present form, but its direction is really intriguing. But the fear keeps coming up, and the blame and the other stuff comes coming up. Oh, what a stupid idea. People are going to laugh at us if we come up with this idea. So these kinds of fears permeate everything we do. They make us uncreative problem solvers. Creativity involves considerable overcoming of fear, or that people will ridicule me, or putting stuff out there that you don't know whether people are going to love it or laugh at it. So these things are all intertwined with everything we do every single day. So I wish you all well, and we will meet again down the road.
Thank you so much, George and Marla. I just want to say that we went on quite a journey, and
Yes.
the practical exercises, I think the role playing was just amazing. We've never had that in the Positivity Vibe Tribe before, that kind of demonstration of how to go about it. So that was really valuable, as well as just the concept of, I almost picked up a theme of this, is be your own best friend.
Yes, that's perfect. Oh, wow,
absolutely.
Wow. Yeah.
You nailed it.
That's what you inspired. You
Be your own
inspired that.
Oh, you got to, that could
Right?
actually be a topic for you, that be your own,
Right.
how to be your own best friend. That's
Well,
exactly what we're talking about.
Right.
Here. Exactly.
That's actually what I have written down here. And maybe we'll get you both back here another time. So
always
a
happy
lot
to
of
do the George and Marla show.
Right. It was a blast.
Show, sorry.
Yes, please.
I loved it. And I just want to say there's been a lot of people requesting, and I'm so sorry that we can't continue the space. I have a movie deadline that I need to do by tomorrow morning. So that's the only reason why I've been trying to close the space since 6:15. So my apologies to everybody. I would love to sit and talk all night, but it presents another opportunity for us to all come back and have another conversation, just as wonderful as this has been, and we have learned so much. I want to talk some resources now. There are a lot of resources up in the nest. George has kindly also provided the Otter link up in the nest, so do check that out.
Yeah, in case you don't know what Otter is, it's a transcript and a recording, so you can listen to this or hear it or read the transcript. Give it an hour, because it does another pass with artificial intelligence. It'll clean it up a little bit, not totally. I saw some really bad misspellings and wrong words in there, but thanks.
Absolutely. And then George also has some posts up in the nest. There was also one from Gia right at the beginning. It's a self-therapy, a step-by-step guide to creating wholeness and healing your inner child. So that was recommended by George. There's also another 3 posts up there from George. So do check out that, and also make sure that you're following George Silverman if you are not already. Click on his bubble face over there and do follow him. And then also there is of course, there's the release of the Positivity Vibe Tribe NFT collection on the Galaxy platform. So you can click on that link and check those out. Thank you so much to our sponsors, Wordsmith Pakistan. We are so blessed to have you as sponsors. Also, if you're not part of the Positivity Vibe Tribe, and I've just checked everybody out here, it looks like most of you are members. If you're not, click on the link and do become a member. We'd love to have you. And also there is the Master Your Fears YouTube show that I created. It's under 10 minutes, and it's my take on Master Your Fears. So, Ron, any quick thoughts about today's space?
Sure. I just was so pleased that George, he described you, Marla, and he put you at a certain position, and you exceeded all my expectations. And I really enjoyed listening to you
Told you
both.
she was
And
hot
it was
stuff, right?
exactly. You said a lot, George, and it was really just a joy to listen to tonight. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Ron. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Ron. Yes, thank you so much, George, for bringing Marla. We love her.
Who
We
could
love her to
not?
death. I know, who could not? We understand now. So thank you so much, George, for all that you've been doing as far as you ran the first space, topic being the super guest there, and then you brought back Marla, and wow, we are just blown away. So thank you both so much for your time. We really appreciate you. Thank you to the speakers that came up. And also, I want to say thank you so much for being vulnerable in the space, all the speakers that came up. We really appreciate you going on that journey, because often we are all intently listening and learning from you sharing your experience. And that's what that is all about. So much love to you all. And then thank you so much to the listeners. And apologies to those that weren't able to come up in the space today. Thank you so much to the listeners. You are just so inspiring to be there. Thank you to all the listeners also that jumped into the chat. I'm going to go back there. I know George will head back in there. Ron will head back in there later, and we will chat it up with you and write some comments. And George, you will check out some of my quotes from you and Marla and make sure that I've got them right, or please correct them. And guess what? The Positivity Vibe Tribe will be back on Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So looking forward to seeing you all there for another space. And we are talking about why choose positivity. Hey, before I go, don't forget to check out Science Chat tomorrow night. Our sponsors, Bunsen and Beaker, have posted in the chat all the information for their space tomorrow. So do check that out and do join us. I'm definitely going to be there because it is so amazing with the science and the pets. But tomorrow night is definitely science, and I can't wait. So hope to see you all over in Science Chat tomorrow night. And then, of course, Wednesday, Positivity Vibe Tribe. Until then, I am sending you off with an amazing, amazing evening and sending you all love, light, and blessings. Yes.
Bye-bye. Bye, everybody. Great to see you all. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Indra.
Thank you, Marla.